Good evening and welcome to a special Monday night live stream. We do this every Monday with Alpha members, and today we thought we'd open it up to everyone. Everyone's excited by the recent market moves. Bitcoin consolidating above $78,000 and some very, very nice moves across the entire crypto market. So tonight we're just going to run through some market analysis, answer a couple of questions, and basically cover some of the absolute amazing moves that we've seen over the last few days. As we started, you can see Bitcoin consolidating at $78,600 as we speak. You can see this level, $76,000, marked in orange. This is a key level we've marked on the chart for a while. You can see it was the high back in March, this double bottom kind of forming. But actually, if we go back further, you can see it was on the daily chart. You can see it better. It was the candle low from April last year, which was the tariff drama. Hopefully, most people remember that. And then it was also a period of consolidation back in November 2024 when Donald Trump won the election. Obviously, we're in the middle of that major move. And actually, it's quite similar. It's quite funny. You can see back in November when Trump got elected, we had kind of a massive rally, consolidated around this level, and then continued that rally. We're seeing something similar right now. These periods of consolidation are super bullish. And the reason for that is it just allows all the kind of hype, all the excitement, all the FOMO to just calm down and just settle everything down for a few days before the rally can continue. That's not to say we won't get some pullbacks. I do think, we could check back to $69,000 or the 200-day moving average, depending on where that is by the time we get the pullback. But for now, the market looks very healthy. Last week, we obviously had a really nice move. Bitcoin pumping over 23% in the week. But more importantly, the reclaim of the 200-week moving average, the 200-day moving average, and obviously we pumped through that $72,000 range as well. So Bitcoin looking really healthy, continuing to show consolidation tonight, which is healthy given that we've had such a big rally. What we don't want to see is just that continue and a lot of excitement without that pullback, without that consolidation, because these are the periods where support is built and any sustained rally needs support levels built. So looking really strong, and we've been right on some stuff, we've been wrong on some stuff, but one thing we did say is during this whole period here, this consolidation phase, it was 46 days, is at the end of this, it's going to be an explosive move. And last week, everything aligned. We got the Treasury Secretary mentioning that they were going to start buying bonds, and obviously that's bullish for Bitcoin. And then we also got the Crypto Summit at the White House as well. Both things triggered this kind of epic rally. So yeah, looking really strong right now. All the bears waiting for rate hikes and waiting for interest rate hikes have disappeared, and everybody's super bullish. If we run through, so XRP, I think notable mention XRP. We did think we might get a pull down into this level here between 93 cents and 97 cents. It didn't happen. Sub $1 is an amazing price, and hopefully if people were looking to add XRP to their portfolio, they managed to take advantage of 99 cents XRP. Since then, XRP currently up 47%. At its peak, we were up 69% and looking pretty bullish as well. If we zoom out a little bit, we'll go to the 3-day time frame. You can see we're just at the top of this range. If we do break above kind of this 154 level, I do think we'll get quite a nice move up to 197, which was previously the all-time high from 2021. So not the all-time high, the previous high. So I do think that could be on the cards. The daily chart looks pretty good. If we pull up the RSI just to kind of show what I'm talking about, let's see. You can see we had this massive explosive move. So now what I'd like the RSI to do is over the next few days, if we trade sideways, RSI just comes back down maybe into the 65 to 70 area and then bounce again. And that's kind of what we talk about when we say the indicators resetting. Obviously Ethereum, we've been saying for a while, I think I've basically said for about 6 months that I'm not super bullish on Ethereum normally, but this time feels different. I've never really held Ethereum, did buy some over the last few months, and the reason for that is I think the move in crypto towards RWAs, tokenization, and stable coins, not to mention AI, was always going to benefit Ethereum as a chain, and I think that's kind of the fundamental investment kind of thesis on it. But what really kind of sold it to me was this period here. Everything else was dumping. The tech sector was selling off. The Nasdaq was selling off. The S&P was correcting. We're starting to see the AI rally start to unwind, and Ethereum just continued to grind sideways and higher. It wasn't really affected by it. Didn't seem to be negatively affected by the news. And for that, it was just a sign of strength, and it was consolidating up on top of this double bottom. And then we got that move last week above the 200-day moving average, above $2,000, and actually above $2,400, which again was the top of this range. Consolidating here, finding support, super bullish, and I think we might have a pullback this week. We might have some consolidation, but I think by the end of the week we could go higher again, and that'll be very bullish for the rest of the market, and I think altcoins will follow. Solana looking very nice. I shared a chart in CC Pro earlier. People getting excited by Solana's move. It's pretty much shown incredible strength since June, even though the rest of the market was looking pretty dead. Solana kept grinding higher and higher. We are now at the top of this range. We've touched it twice before. This is the third time of reaching this level. We need to see a clean break, but once we do get that break, I think 125, 124 is the target. Again, coincides with the new vote on Solana becoming less inflationary by about half. We also got the news over the weekend that Solana is now being made even faster. So incredibly fast chain, incredibly scalable. What they're trying to work on now is making the token less inflationary than it is, which obviously supply and demand mechanics make it more in demand, and that's going to be very bullish for price long term. Also, massive growth in the RWA and tokenization sector, and Solana's doing very well, leading that way as well. So really just need to see a breakthrough of this level, and then I think things get really exciting for Solana. And then shout out Doge. I've been banging on about Dogecoin since February. I've been going on about it. One for the reason of if you want some kind of risk and degen play, some kind of meme coin allocation, Dogecoin makes sense. I think there's no way we get a crypto bull run without Doge doing well. On top of that, I just think it signals that retail's starting to come back, and I think it was nice to see Dogecoin pump this week. Bit of a check back to the 200-day moving average now. I think that's more than healthy. I think we could see it come down even lower, fill this wick down to 0.083, but looking pretty healthy. Interested to see where it goes from here, because there is a lot of upside for Dogecoin. But yeah, market having a bit of a pullback tonight. Uni obviously was up quite significantly. It's having a bit of a pullback, back 5% today. You're seeing some tokens down 3-4%. I think just to be expected after the explosive move last week. Funny, CC Pro, someone asked me how they would get exposure to DeFi tokens last week, and I said Aave was a good one. Obviously Aave exploded, and CRV, anyone that's been in CC Pro for a while will know. Curve is one we are very bullish on, starting to show some strength over the last few weeks, but got a lot of upside still to go. This 132 level, somewhere I would look for as a target. So all in all, the crypto market looking good. Total 2 added 183 billion last week, back above both MA's 200 week, 200 day. Total 3 similar, and the others chart still below the 200 week moving average, but managed to reclaim the 200 day. And I think what is very interesting for Bitcoin is when we finally reclaim the 200 day moving average on a rally, it takes us a while to break below it. I do think we probably stay above the 200 day moving average going forward. I think the conditions are set, and yeah, I think we'll have much higher to go over the next few months. Let's have a look, see who's in the chat. Quite a lot of people in tonight, which is nice. Bidon's back, Ali's in, who else is? Jack, Lee, let's see. Lee's saying the ISM chart is above 55. Yeah, I think the PMI and the ISM manufacturing's booming in the States. I think that's bullish. I also think the Russell 2000 is going to start really flying in the next few months as well, and I think the S&P and NASDAQ will probably start to cool off, and normally that's bad for Bitcoin and the Russell, but I actually think this time's different. I think it's more of a rotation play. I think it's all to do with AI, and I think Bitcoin, crypto, and the Russell 2000 will do very well in a rotation from AI stocks. That's kind of something I'm watching for. Alvara, yeah, I think still down massively. So yeah, I think there's a long way to go. Lark's asking about Solana and SWI. Yeah, Solana, look, I don't want to put a time on it, but I do think we'll get to 125 not too far away from now. And then I think from there it's just probably a slow grind. I think November will be a bullish month. Solana has breakpoint. It's normally a bullish time for people building on Solana. They kind of save up all their announcements and big news for breakpoint. So I think November, December will be bullish for Solana. But I think we'll just slowly grind higher until then as well. SWI down massively, to be fair. Surprisingly how hard it got hit. Let me find the chart. Back up at 8 cents. So I had a nice week last week, although it's not reclaimed the 200-day moving average. So a lot of coins managed to do that. SWI's not, but I don't think it's too worrying. I think it might come down maybe as low as 75 cents, maybe a little bit lower, maybe 71. But I think the low is in for this, and yeah, we need to reclaim this 200-day moving average, and then I think 134 is probably the most obvious place it goes after that. So yeah, nice week across crypto. A lot going on in the macro world, a lot going on in the stock market. We're starting to see the AI trade start to cool off, although I do think it's just a stock cooling off. I think any other exposure you've got across the market, whether it be to commodities, whether it be to AI infrastructure, I think you'll do very well long term. And then I do think crypto will be the big winner from the rotation out of stocks. And I think things like obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, I think Solana, I think Aave, CRV, I think Uniswap, they'll all be big winners because they have gigantic revenue streams from actual usage. So I think that's what I would be looking for. Chainlink as well, actually. Chainlink, yeah, Chainlink will be a big winner of the next move in crypto as well. So overall, a pretty bullish few days for the market. Really nice to see, and it's nice after such a long time of sideways, negative, red. It's nice to finally see some green, and it shows how quick sentiment can flip. You know, people were writing off crypto 4 years until we see the next bull run, and then this week literally flipped on a dime, and people are now calling for all-time highs. Bitcoin dominance still consolidating in this range. You can see back up at 60% level. Said before, think this high is safe. Think we'll probably consolidate here and then maybe drop lower as we get more news about the Clarity Act, or at least the SEC's regulation and the CFTC regulation outside the Clarity Act. But yeah, and then Bitcoin versus gold still in the lows, still back at 2023 prices. So a long way to go to catch up with gold and silver. Gold having a nice day, up again, back above $4,600 after putting in this low. Silver again, saying the same thing, need to get above the 200-day moving average. And this is why I think it doesn't matter what the Treasury do. Every time they buy bonds, they're going to sell off and they're going to just come straight back up. It wouldn't surprise me if we were back above this kind of 4.8% on the 10-year and 5.3% on the 30-year by the end of the week. Treasury will need to intervene again, and that'll cause more money printing, and that'll cause more bullish moves across Bitcoin and crypto. Like I say, we do this every week with Alpha members. We run through the charts, we answer questions. This week we thought we'd just do it for everyone because everyone's super excited about the crypto space. This is what we do every single week. Let's see if there's any questions in CC Pro. Let's have a look at Borg, because Borg seems to be getting a lot of chat. So Borg up a little bit. Had a nice week last week. Still a long way down from where we need to get back to. 200-day moving average, clear that, and then I do think we'll move up to kind of 21 to 22 cent level. Not fussed, I'm not stressing about Borg. I've said time and time again, it's all about retail activity. It's all about users coming into crypto. I think we will see a lot of movement in the price of Borg as more and more people get excited by crypto and start to move money in, and Borg will go back to all-time high. This chart's terrible because it only shows history back to December 2024, so can't really show too much. AC Build says, how often do you think they'll intervene? I think it'll be weekly, to be honest. I think every time the yield gets out of step, let's see, 30 years probably easier to see. Every time it gets up to this level, they're going to intervene to try and get it back down. In my opinion, basically what they've told bond buyers is every time the level gets up here, they'll step in and buy. So all that happens is there's a sell-off, and then everybody knows they're going to step in. And if you actually look, this is what happened. Let's see where to go back to. This is what happened in Japan over this period. Every time it creeped up, they just intervened. Every time it creeped up, they intervened. Every time it creeped up, they intervened. And that's kind of what the US is about to do. And then what happened is it started getting out of control. They intervened, it came down. They intervened, it came down. But it's a slow progression higher. Eventually, they lose control of the bond market, and they have to just go and buy trillions of debt back. And I think that's the position they're in right now. So the Treasury buying $1 trillion of bonds back. Yeah, I think it's bearish if you hold dollars. I think it's currency suicide, but what choice do they have? Realistically, if they don't buy their own bonds, no one else wants to buy them. People are actively selling them because they know they're worthless. So then the Treasury has to step in, otherwise yields will go to 7, 8, 9%. They can't allow that. They can't afford the interest on their debt right now. They definitely can't afford it if the yields get any higher. And the people that are suffering the most are paying higher and higher interest rates. So if you look at, that's why the property market is frozen in the US, because no one can afford a new mortgage at much higher rates. So yeah, the Treasury is going to continue to step in. I think $1 trillion is a start, but yeah, I think they're going to have to do something crazy very soon. I think they'll do something like maybe issue 50-year bonds, which don't exist right now. They maybe issue 50-year bonds and then buy them themselves, and that gives them a lot more a longer time frame, because a lot of the debt in the US is short term. So they might do something like that. Either way, it's going to be very bullish for Bitcoin and crypto and pretty much any asset denominated in dollars. And everybody else is going to follow, because once the US starts doing it, everybody else is going to do it. The UK will do it soon because they have to, because they can't afford yields up here. The 10-year highest level since 2008, they can't afford much more. Canada, similar position. Germany, similar position. Italy, basically not far away. So yeah, everybody's going to follow. And it's going to be a massive money printing bazooka hitting markets all around the world. Beta Max Memories, you are right. Yeah, that's exactly what we've been saying. So yeah, Don't hold dollars, hold Bitcoin. I heard something the other day, and I was going to bring it up tonight. I was listening to a podcast on stock market. So the person speaking was basically saying, can you guarantee where a stock or a business will be in 3 years or 5 years? But because of AI, right now you can't forward plan 3 to 5 years because, you know, AI could disrupt Google, it could disrupt Microsoft, it could disrupt Apple, because you just don't know what's going to happen with AI and how that's going to impact sales, revenue, profit. You can't really predict where a business is going to be 3 to 5 years from now because AI disruption is coming. What you can predict is, you can't predict price, but you can guarantee that Bitcoin's still going to be around, it's still going to be doing its thing, it's still going to continue producing block after block and being a safe haven outside of fiat debasement. And that's one of the reasons the person that was speaking was saying he's so bullish on Bitcoin, is because if you need to park your money somewhere for 5 years, well, you can't put it in Google, you can't put it in Amazon, you can't put it in Apple, because you have zero idea what AI is going to do to those stocks and the stock price of those companies. What you can do is put it in Bitcoin, and you know one thing for sure is if the Fed prints, it's going to go up in value. But either way, it's still going to be around in 3 to 5 years. And I thought it was a really bullish way of framing things. But interested to see how long we pull back this week. If we extend till Wednesday, Thursday, I think that's really bullish, because what we'll see is some negativity creep in. Oh, it's over. Oh, it was just a dead cat bounce, something like that. Once we start hearing those stories, that's when we're ready to go again. So I don't love the red, don't love the pullback, but it is important for a healthy market. But that's all for tonight. As I said, I just wanted to jump on, give a brief update, run through the charts. This is what we do every week with Alpha. If you're not in Alpha, the link is in the description. You can join. We do a Monday live stream with all our members, answering questions, covering the charts, and just getting everybody set up for the week. It's going to be an interesting week to see how the market plays out. But one thing is for sure, we are definitely in for a very hectic end of the year. We did say mid-August, to be fair. We've been saying mid-August for a while. We said get through the July Fed meeting. By mid-August, everybody would be feeling better about their portfolio. I think we pretty much nailed that. And I know I've got some timings wrong in the past, spectacularly. However, I think we did nail this one. So that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll be back maybe the end of the week, definitely next week, and we will have much more regular live streams for members only. So if you're not a member in CC Pro, join, links in the description, and I will catch you all very soon.